All right. So today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about idea validation for your online business and the importance thereof, and more importantly, how to do it. Because so often I see people sort of jumping into sort of creating something online. They've got a fair idea in their head what they'd like to do, but they're not 100% sure if the market is ready for what they want to do or if there is actually a market for what they want to do. So that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about now. I'm keen to know in the comments, if you are watching this, I see Mark's joining us from the Netherlands. How's it, Mark? Nice to have you in Utrecht. I hope things are well, and I hope things are going well with the lockdown, man. I know you guys don't have it as harsh as we've got it here in South Africa at the moment, but yeah, things are pretty hectic. Let me know in the comments below if you have an idea for an online business, something that you've been mulling around for a while. Don't have to tell me what it is, but I'm just keen to know the sort of level that we're playing at here. Do you have an idea, or is this something brand new to you? Are you being exposed to this for the first time and you're looking for ideas? So if you wouldn't mind popping that in the comments below as well, it would be massively, massively appreciated. So what I'm going to do is, like I did the other day, is I'm going to flick this around, if that's good, so that we can get onto my computer screen. It's going to get a bit bumpy, so hang on for a second. Let me just make sure I don't unplug my mic while we're at it as well. And hopefully you can see me. Let me make sure that everything is perfect on this side. There we go. That is perfect. So you can see me. There we go. This is the other side, the other angle in my office, which is cool. Let me move that out of the way so that we don't get tangled. Let me try that again. There we go. And let me share my screen, if that's cool, so that we can jump straight into it. This is what we're going to do. Share screen there. Hopefully you can see that. You should be able to. Let me put the presenter view so that you've got it. View present. And then we are sorted. All right, cool. So as I said, what we're going to jump into today is how to find out if your idea will work before investing time and money into building an online business around it. And that's essentially where everyone should be starting. And it doesn't matter if you've done this 100 times before. If you come up with a new idea, this is exactly the process that I follow every single time I launch a new business or I launch a new product. This is step by step what I do. So let me run through what I'm going to run through in the chat today so that you know more or less what's coming. And I'm hopefully going to be done in about half an hour. So if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments as well. What I'm going to talk about is the way most people start and why that doesn't actually work. I'm going to show you 3 really simple ways to validate your online business idea. I'm going to show you where to find people to test on, and I'm going to show you the litmus test, how to prove that your idea will work before you actually do it. So that is the sort of what I'm going to be running through today. If you missed our first video, I'm not going to run through the whole thing. You can watch that. I'll pop the link with the replay. But my name is Brad. That's my wife and the rest of my family. I've got 3 kids. I'm a husband to Christine. I'm a dad to Ethan, Lily, and Grace. My eldest is in his final year of high school this year. My youngest is in grade 1. If you want to watch that video and you want to find out more about my background, you can go to bradbrown.co/intro. But I explained in that video that I come from a radio and TV sort of background, and a lot of what I do today, I'm lucky in the sense that the skills that I've learned have served me well. But I want to show you this today because anyone can do this. Like, I firmly believe that absolutely anybody can do this if you follow the steps. But how do people generally do this? And this is what I see from people starting out. They literally have an idea that's been buzzing around in their heads for a while, and they think, you know what, I'm taking this thing online and we are going to turn this into a business. So what they do is they think of that big idea and they lie awake at night and they think about it, and then they start going into the lab. They're on their laptop and they're on their PC and they're searching things online and how to put this all together and how to record things and how to build this product. And they invest a ton of time and money into developing this product. And I see it time and time and time again, and I am so guilty of this as well. I mean, this was me when I first started. I used to tinker and tinker and tinker to get it perfect because I wanted to make sure that whatever it was that I was selling or offering to people out there needed to be perfect, because I'd seen some of the other courses and products and things that were available to purchase online, and guys and girls that were building these successful online businesses, and they looked like they had everything together. And the truth of the matter is, you then do that, you spend all that time and money, and let's be honest, time is money. If you're spending time researching all this stuff and building and recording before you've done anything else, that is money. You're losing out on opportunity costs. It's costing you money. If you think about what your month or your hourly rate is, if you had to convert what you get paid, and yeah, that's pretty much what we do. Is we tinker, we get it perfect, and then we launch. And let me ask you, I see we've got a few people on here. Do you know what happens when you launch a product doing it this way? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below what happens when you launch a product. When you've built the thing, you've got the idea in your head, you've invested the time and the money, 99.99999 times, crickets. And for our internationals who don't play cricket, you probably won't get that, but that's definitely for the South Africans. I mean, those sorts of crickets. I've done it, and I know tons of people have done it too, is you spend so much time and effort and money into building this thing that you think is everybody wants, you launch it, and there are crickets. Absolutely nothing happens. And then what happens is you get despondent and you give up and you go, you know what, this online business thing's not for me, it doesn't work. I shared this little diagram in our first chat last week, and I really want you to think about this before diving headfirst into doing this. Think about what skills you've currently got. And I breezed over this the other day, but this is vital to get this right. And I don't just talk about what skills have you currently got that you're getting paid for on a monthly basis. So you could be an accountant, as an example, and you get paid by your employer every month to do whatever accountants do. As you can see, I'm not an accountant, but that would be a skill, absolutely. And there are people who would pay for that skill. But you may be an accountant who absolutely loves knitting. Weird example. And you are really good at knitting and working out things and showing people how to knit. There are a ton of people who would pay you for that skill. So don't just think about what you do for a day job. That's the point I'm trying to make. The other thing I want to impress on you is make sure you've got an interest in it. And let me use that accountant example as again. You may be an accountant by profession, but we all know there are tons of people working 9-to-5 jobs that absolutely hate what they do every single day with a passion. They go in, they clock out, they go home, and then they do the stuff they really like doing. They live for weekends. Come Sunday night, we've all had it. You get those Sunday night blues. And then Monday morning, it's back, and it's that hamster wheel. And I think times like we're in now really make you question things like that. Life is short. You've only got a limited amount of time. You have to make it count. So think of the things you're really, really interested in. It could be restoring vintage cars. It could be coaching high school rugby. It could be whatever, gardening. You could be a genius. People might come to your house and go, you know what, your garden is the best garden I've ever seen in my life, but you're an accountant or you're whatever. So those are the things that I want you to think about. Think about your skills, think about your interests, and then we're going to look at opportunity. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today, is where to find those opportunities. And the goal of this thing is to see where we can get all three of those areas to intersect, because that little thing is the sweet spot. So that's what you're looking for, is that little sweet spot where you can take the skills you currently have, things that you're interested in, and where there's opportunity online, and then boom, that's where you want to be focusing your effort. The first thing I'm going to really encourage you to do is focus on small groups. And this is really counterintuitive, because as I explained in my video the other day, we've been brought up to think that big and lots is good. In the online space, big and lots means lots of noise. And the more you can sort of narrow down who your target audience is, you could be the person who teaches mothers over the age of 40 how to knit clothing. I'm just using a really odd example. You could be known as, I used this example in our last video, the person who is the expert in PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, for women who want to fall pregnant. I mean, that's the sort of, as opposed to being all things for everyone, identify really small groups. You also want to find groups that are really passionate, that are like gung-ho. They will chew your arm off to talk to you about what it is that they're into. So that's the sort of thing you want to do. You don't want people that are like really blasé and don't really care about what it is you do. And then the most important out of these three things is you want to find a group of people that are already spending money on what it is you're trying to do. It's all good and well that you create a product or a service where nobody's actually willing to spend money on it. And at the end of the day, if you're starting a business, that's what you need. You need paying customers, otherwise it's not going to work. So I popped this photo in again. I was going to change it, but I thought, no, let me leave it because my mate Manfred had a lot to say about the blonde hair when I first started on 94.7. So Manny, this is for you if you're watching this video, which is cool. I'm going to urge you to niche down. And I wanted to use this example of the radio station once again, because and think about the mass media that you consume, whether it's newspapers, whether it's TV stations, whether it's radio stations. Their goal is to get as many people listening or watching or reading whatever it is they're putting out so that they can sell those eyeballs and ear holes to potential advertisers. The more of those you have, the more money you're going to make. That's the business model that these guys work on. But think about the quality of the content that they are producing. Online publishers, websites, news websites and the like are in all sorts of trouble because ad revenue is down. But do yourself a favor and go and look at some of the quality of the content they're producing. How often do we see a clickbaity headline on social media for an article of X, Y, and Z, whatever the headline is, and you click on it, and all it is a tweet that somebody tweeted that they've embedded into an article, and then one or two responses of people who have had something to say about it also as embeddable tweets in an article. I mean, please, that is such a waste of my time. But why do they do it? Because they need eyeballs on that webpage, because there's 40 different display ads that they're hoping somebody clicks on. That's how they generate an income. So when you try and be all things for everyone, you have to dumb your content down, you water yourself down, and you end up missing everyone. I want to urge you to niche down. I mentioned radio stations. I love this saying, and I heard it when I first started very early on in my online business sort of journey. The riches are in the niches. And if you are from North America, you might call it a niche or a niche. I don't even know how they say it, but niche. I know it as a niche. The riches are in the niches. The more you niche down, the more the opportunity you've got to become the expert for a small little group of people on the internet, you their go-to guy. And that's what you want to do, is become known for one thing. I'll give you an example of what we've done over at Coach Parry, and I'm going to use that example. Lindsay is the official Comrades Marathon coach, and he has become known as the Comrades guy. So if you need Comrades advice, Lindsay's your guy. But because we've gone really deep on Comrades and so many people know us for that niche, it now allows us to go slightly wider. So even though Lindsay's a fantastic triathlon coach, is the Triathlon South Africa's high performance coach, he's more well known for Comrades, funnily enough. I mean, he's been to 2 Olympic Games, he's been to 2 Commonwealth Games, but that is for triathlon. Yes, there was marathon in there as well, but mostly it was for triathlon. But he's known as the Comrades guy, and that's allowed us to sort of branch out and go a bit wider. If you think of mining, you want to go really, really deep on one sort of vein of gold. And then once you've extracted everything out of that, that allows you to then go wider and allows you to build a bigger business. So become known for that one thing. Think about what that is. And I always say niche down twice. So become I'm just trying to think of an example off the top of my head. Become the sort of, let's talk about this sort of thing. Like, let's say I wanted to help families build online businesses. I want to become the guy who helps people or families or couples with kids build an online business so they can spend more time with their kids. I don't want to just help people build an online business. To give you an example, what I'm hoping to do here, I want to help South Africans who are professionals or freelancers, guys and girls who exchange time for money that need to be there. I want to show them how to develop online courses that can leverage their time and effort in South Africa. There's lots of guys doing it overseas, but there's no one doing it really well for South Africans. So I think that's where opportunity is for me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these webinars. So let's talk about the big idea. Why do you want to validate your big idea? And I asked at the start of this sort of stream, who of you have an idea? And I see most of you have got, but what you want to do is make sure that when you come up with your idea, you're not putting work into it unless you're getting paid. And I know that's difficult. People always think you've got to have this thing up and running, but I'll show you how to do that in a second. Don't put time and effort into something or building a product or a service unless you're getting paid for it. Maybe nobody wants it. What happens if you spend 6 months or a year on building this thing, investing tons of time and money, and nobody wants it? That's the risk. But how do you do that? And that's what I'm going to run through in today's video. So there are essentially a few ways that you can find out and validate your idea. The first thing you want to do, and this is, again, probably counterintuitive, you almost want to, people think, we need to start a business in this new area where no one's doing this. I stay away from new areas where no one's doing that because, to me, the market hasn't been proved. Obviously, I don't want to get into a market that's super, super saturated, but I at least want to see other people having success in what I'm trying to do. So the first question you need to ask yourself is someone else doing this? Let me use an example. So I heard this ages ago as well. I don't know who said it, but they were talking about being a pioneer. And they said a pioneer is the person who said the next thing that comes out of that chicken, I'm going to eat. I don't want to be a pioneer. I don't want to take those risks. I want to see something that's working already and improve on that. So look around to see if there are people doing something you're thinking of doing. If they aren't, my advice, stay away, wait for somebody else to break that ground, and then you can follow suit. But you're not going to copy them, but you want to make sure that there is a market for what you're trying to do. And how do you find out if there is a market for what you're trying to do? The first thing, Google. Google is your friend. If you can't find something on Google, it does not exist. That's what it boils down to. Spend some time researching different niches, what it is that you're looking for, and really dig deep and see who's doing similar stuff online. Yes, might want to change things slightly, but use Google to really figure out if there is already a market of people buying what you're thinking of creating. The second place to go and look, you've probably heard of a platform called Udemy. If you haven't yet, you need to. It's a fantastic platform that you can, as a user, an end user, you can purchase access to online courses. So if you want to learn anything, you can go to Udemy, type it in, and chances are there's an online course. Somebody's created an online course that they're selling that you can then purchase and learn what it is they're selling. Udemy is a great place to see if your business idea will work. And there are courses for everything on Udemy. You want to learn how to weave baskets underwater? Udemy is the place to go to. There is tons. So go and check out Udemy, same thing. Just do a search on your niche and see if there are products being sold, and also see how successful they are. I mean, if you're thinking of creating a product, sorry, let me grab some water. If you're thinking of creating a product and somebody else has created a course, let's say there's one course on Udemy and nobody has bought it, that's a pretty good sign there's no market for that course, because Udemy's got a massive audience and chances are they'll be able to sell courses if there is a demand for it. The second place that I love looking is in the book section of Amazon and Take-A-Lot. And Amazon internationally, Take-A-Lot locally. If there aren't books being sold on your niche or topic, I'd stay away. Because again, that's one of those things that it doesn't matter how much the book is. It might be 20 Rand, it might be $10, I don't know. But if somebody is opening their wallet and buying that product, there's a very good chance there's a market for it for an online business. So definitely go and check those out. The other thing that you want to look at when you're on Amazon and Take-A-Lot, and Udemy for that matter, is look at the reviews. And don't just look at the 5-star reviews, because that's probably their friends and mother that have left those 5-star reviews. Look at the 3-star reviews. People can be overcritical, so ignore the ones. Look at the 3s, because the 3s are where you get really good information about what the course or book is lacking, where the gaps are that you could possibly fill with your online business. So those are the 3 places I spend a ton of time doing research. And then the other one that I use a lot is Facebook groups. And you can glean so much information out of Facebook groups. And again, there are Facebook groups for every single niche on the planet. This is where the passion comes in. Like, you can see Facebook groups where there's not much happening. They might have 20,000 members and they'll get 1 or 2 posts a week maybe. And then you get Facebook groups where there's maybe 100 people, but there are 20 posts a day and each post is getting 20 or 30 replies, and there's just this constant buzz. Those are the passionate communities that I'm talking about. It's difficult to say if they'll purchase, if they'll spend money in those groups. You don't know that, but you can see the sorts of questions people are asking about your niche. You can answer questions. You can get into those groups and answer questions and learn more about those audiences. So Facebook groups are amazing to do that sort of research in as well. Then the other thing that I do, and I do lots of, is surveys. So some of you who have sort of been following what I've been doing for the last few weeks have probably seen the survey already. It's on my website, and it's basically a one-question survey where I used on Google Forms. I've used SurveyMonkey and that sort of thing. I just find Google Forms is amazing and it's free. I use Google Forms and I ask one question. What is the number one thing you want to know about X? Please be as detailed as possible. What's the number one thing you want to know about fly fishing in the Vaal River? Please be as detailed as possible. What's the number one thing you want to know about underwater basket weaving? Leave it open and let people tell you what those issues are. That'll guide you and help you build a sort of framework of what it is people actually want. So that is really, really important. And then make sure that on the back end of that, you're saying to people, you know what, thank you for answering. I might have some follow-up questions. Would you mind if I reached out? Maybe we could hop on a call. Those sorts of calls are so valuable. Do it. Spend 15 minutes with 20 or 30 of your potential customers and ask them, like, what is the biggest struggles? What do you want to know? What are the hurdles standing in your way? Find out what their pain points are. And that information is priceless. Before you start creating anything, that's the sort of stuff that you want to know. And then make sure that you follow up. That's what I was saying, is follow up with them. Spend time on phone calls or Skype calls, wherever they are in the world, and find out what it is that they actually want. I mentioned Facebook groups. Where do you find people to answer or to ask those forum questions to if you don't have an audience? Online forums are a great place to do it. They're not as big as they used to be a few years ago. Places like Reddit are still pretty big, but obviously you've got to be careful that you don't sort of overstep moderation rules in that of those forums. So you can't just go in there and drop your survey and leave. You want to add some value first, become known as a person who's interested in this sort of stuff, and see how you can help people. And then with time, if the opportunity presents itself, drop the forum in. Facebook groups, exactly the same. Drop the link in there. Facebook ads is also a way that we do it. If you want to fast track this, obviously those first two take some time, but if you have some money to invest, run a Facebook ad to your target audience, straight to that survey. If you can get 100, 150 answers, it's going to give you tons of information, which you can then move forward on. And I'm going to reiterate this, please don't spam. I see it so often, guys coming into, and people can see through it. Like, be genuine. Like, if you really care about an audience, take the time to, instead of building the product, take the time to get to know the audience. And then people will be more than willing to answer your survey and take the time to help you out. So don't spam. Sort of build up those relationships. Even though it is online, it does take some legwork in the front end, but you will be rewarded tons as the years, or as the weeks and months and years roll on. So the litmus test. Gee, I'm running through this fast. I wonder are there any questions? Please don't, if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them into the comments. What is the litmus test? I did this lots when I first started, but I never build something unless somebody's opened their wallet before, if that makes any sort of sense. So you don't have an idea if someone is willing to open their wallet and buy before you've actually put it on the market. And that's the risk. Spending all this time up front, wondering if someone's going to buy this thing, you launch it, crickets, nobody opens their wallet. So how do you get somebody to open their wallet before you've actually created this thing? And that is the secret to this thing. Before you create anything, go through the steps I've shown you today and then pre-sell. And what do I mean by pre-sell? And people, when they first see this, they go, oh, that's weird. Like, I can't do that. I can't sell something that doesn't exist. It happens all the time. A new thing comes onto the market. You get on a waiting list. You need to put a deposit down. It's a refundable deposit. It happens all the time. Pre-sell whatever it is you're building. Say to people, once you've got the information and intel of what it is that you're thinking of buying, put a framework together, 7 steps to X, Y, and Z, and go to market with it. Say, hey, listen, I'm thinking of doing this. We haven't created, be upfront with them. Don't say when you sign up, you're going to get X, Y, and Z. Say to them, I'm thinking of creating this. I want to work with a small group of people to make sure that we've got it dialed in. We're normally going to sell this thing for 10,000 Rand to start with. We're going to sell it for 5,000, whatever it is. But in return for me investing time in you and this product at half the price I would normally sell it at, I want feedback from you. Along the way, you're going to survey that audience that have opened their wallet, and you're going to build this thing as you go and flesh it out as you go. Once that's done, you've then got a product that you can sell over and over. You can tweak it, pre-record. You might need to record stuff again or create stuff again, but at least you know somebody has opened their wallet and bought. If you go or you think, you know what, in order for this thing to be worth my while, I need at least 10 people to be part of this initial group to go through. If you only get 2 and you go, you know what, this isn't really worth my while, I don't think it's going to work, you can refund them. No, there's no loss to anyone. You could just say to someone, hey, listen, the response wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I really don't think it's going to be worth our while to pursue this idea or this product. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pull the plug, but I'm going to give you 100% refund. It's as simple as that. People understand, and it is what it is. It's one of those things, but that way you can pre-sell your idea before you've done absolutely anything. All right, so what are the tools that you need to be able to pre-sell things, something like this? So I mentioned the Google Forms for the forums. That's pretty easy to do. You need a landing page, so like a one-page website where you can generate leads, get email addresses and that sort of thing. You need a way to take payments, and you need a way to send emails so you can respond to these people. A lot of people sort of start these things and they do it from their personal email account, but as it grows, I mean, there are limits on the amount of emails that you can actually send from like a Gmail account. The last thing you want to do is get your personal email account blocked, but there are platforms that can do it. One of the platforms that I absolutely love that combines the first and the third is something called ConvertKit. If you go to bradbrown.co/ConvertKit, you can sign up for a sort of free account, up to 500 email addresses. You get landing pages, the works. So what I would suggest is definitely go check that out, bradbrown.co/ConvertKit. I love ConvertKit. It's simple. It's easy to use. They've got built-in landing pages. When I first started using ConvertKit, they didn't have those landing pages, so we had to build them separately. They've, in the last few months, combined it. It is amazing. It is so easy to do. I mean, some of you may have seen a landing page that I created with the last video that I did with an email opt-in. I literally created that thing in 5 minutes the other night. It is superb. So yeah, definitely go check that out. So bradbrown.co/ConvertKit. It's ConvertKit. That is the URL that'll take you through to ConvertKit. I mentioned in the last video as well that I'm putting together sort of my online toolbox, the ConvertKit sort of info and how we use it and how we build those things it's in the process. So if you want to sign up for that, I was actually busy working on that before I hopped on this live call. Hopefully I'll have that out in the next day or two. It's looking really good. bradbrown.co/tools. And that is one of those landing pages that I was talking about. So if you want to go check it out, bradbrown.co/tools. If you're not in the Facebook group that I created, I finally sort of changed the name. It might not be the name that sticks, but it works for now. It's the South African Online Business Lab, I think we called it. Yeah, that's right. Just go to bradbrown.co/Facebook. Get into that group. Let's get chatting. If you've got any questions between these videos, pop them in there. And if I could ask you as well, like if you know anyone who would be interested in sort of taking their skills as a freelancer or a professional who exchanges time for money, and they're looking for a way to take what they do and leverage it online, please invite them to that group. I want to try and help as many people as we can. So bradbrown.co/Facebook. If you haven't checked out my Facebook channel yet, I mentioned in the last video I had the sum of 1 subscriber. It's now up to 10. So we're into double figures. We need to see if we can do 10 subscribers every video or more. bradbrown.co/YouTube. The recording of this video will be up there shortly. And then, yeah, just thank you for joining me today. If there are any questions, I'm having a squiz. Yeah, Gail saying, do I have any recommendation for landing pages? Gail, that ConvertKit tool that I was that I mentioned is phenomenal. When I first started, I used a platform called Lead Pages, and it was great when 3-4 years ago, but it's become really clunky. And since then, I've learned how to build my own landing pages. So I use ConvertKit, but I also build my own. But let me tell you, starting out ConvertKit, you're not going to get easier than that. And like I said, you can get a free account at ConvertKit, up to 500 email subscribers. And then from there, it's really cheap as well. So definitely check that out. There are other options, but again, you've got your email service provider, and then you need a second option to build landing pages. There aren't many that integrate. ConvertKit does. I can't speak of any of the others because I haven't used them. I mean, I've used MailChimp when I first started. A lot of people use MailChimp. I didn't like MailChimp because it was quite restrictive in what it could do. And also, one of the things I didn't like is when you start segmenting your list. I talk about grouping. So you really want to get to know your audience well. So if they take certain actions, you can add a tag. And you could do that in MailChimp. But the problem with MailChimp is they call it list-centric. So every time you move somebody from one group into another group, let me actually flick this around so we can actually see you, because I've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover. And then I'm going to stop my share, and then we'll put that there. So they talk about lists, about email service providers being list-centric or subscriber-centric. List-centric means that if you take someone who's on your list already and then you want to segment. So let's say you've got a group of mothers, and let's say you're creating a product for single mothers. So you want to segment who the single mothers are in this group, and you can do it within the email by getting them to click on a link or whatever. But in MailChimp, as soon as you move someone or you add them to a second list, you're paying for them twice on that on that service provider. Whereas ConvertKit is subscriber-centric. So you can have someone on 40 different sort of segments, and you're only paying for that person once. Whereas on MailChimp, as an example, you're paying for them on every list. So that's really important. It's a small little differentiator, but it makes a big difference when your list starts growing and you start segmenting people. So definitely check that out. It's bradbrown.co/ConvertKit. Definitely check that out. Just checking if there are any other questions. I don't think there are. Last chance if you want to get any of those in, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, please do be in touch. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, bradbrown.co/YouTube. There's a link with this video as well. You can click on it. It'll take you straight there. And yeah, if you know anybody who would get value out of this, please feel free to share. It really helps me get this message out. I want to try and help as many people as we can during this time. And I'll be doing more of these. So I'm thinking of doing something around online courses and particularly how to get an online course set up. So if that's something you might be interested in, make sure you stay in touch, and I will let you know in the Facebook group as to when that is going to be happening. And if there's anything else that you think I need to be covering, yeah, please definitely let us know as well. So thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to catching up soon. Stay safe, and yeah, look after yourselves, and we'll chat soon.